Okay, so a blessed day to everyone. So for today, we are going to have the week 3, module 3 of English for academic and professional purposes. So we are going to talk about summarizing techniques. So I know you are already familiar with the idea of summarizing, but let's polish that. So credits to the development team of the module, the writer, Ms. Redemption C. Ginto, and to the rest of the team, especially to the school's division of Pampanga. So at the end of this module, you are expected to identify various summarizing techniques and apply any or a combination of these techniques in a well-written summary. So by the way, I assume that you already know what summarizing is. So the purpose of this module will just be polishing and clarifying a few concepts, okay? So before we get to that, let's have what I know, okay? For what I know, let's determine if the statement is a good summarizing technique and or a bad one, okay? Right, check if it's a good one, X if it's a bad one. So first, Aldrin copied details from 2 original texts and joined the 2 to form the summary. So the word is copied, okay? He took details from 2 original texts and then he joined them, okay? So is it a good or a bad summarizing technique? So definitely it's not a good summarizing technique. It's a bad one because he just copied from 2 original texts and then actually joined the 2, okay? Those 2 could be different topics, so you couldn't just merge them and say that it's the summary. So number 1 is a bad summarizing technique. So don't copy exactly, okay? Number 2, Elizabeth read the original material and listed down important details in her notebook. She has read the original material. And then what did she do after? She listed down important details. So is that a good or a bad summarizing technique? So she read and then she listed. So that makes it a good summarizing technique. Next is John used a semantic web to relate important details to the main idea. Okay, so he did not copy, but he practically extracted, okay, used a semantic web to get the important details. Is it a good or a bad summarizing technique? Yeah, it's a good one because he used a semantic web, okay? Number 4, Evelyn underlined important sentences and restated them using her own words. Using her own words. Is it a good or a bad one? It's a good one, okay? And then lastly, Engelbert wrote down key ideas and connected the ideas using his own words. So again, it's a good summarizing technique. So what we have seen is that when somebody copies the original text and claims it as his or her own summary, that's a bad summarizing technique because practically that's plagiarism. But when one uses his or her own words and uses various techniques, then it can be considered as a good summarizing technique. Okay, so let's move on. So you have already done this, okay? Text structures, just complete the semantic web with the text structures. You have definition, description, cause and effect, problem solution, narration, etc. Okay, then afterwards pick out the most okay, let's go to what's new. Okay, wherein you would have to read this paragraph. I'm gonna read with you, then we will get the most important details to fill out the graphic organizer. So the graphic organizers are very important, okay? Just like what we did here, okay? But we already know them kasi, for this one, it's something new. So let's read, okay? I'll read for you. Before she became known as Wonder Woman, I'll highlight, okay? Diana is the princess of Themisira, okay? Then the daughter of Queen Hippolyta. Okay. She is that's actually a name of a character in one of Shakespeare's dramas. Okay, Themisira. So just correct me if I'm wrong. She grew up sheltered, but inside her, she wanted to be like her mother. Okay, let's highlight that. And her mother's general, so she was trained by her mother's general Antiope, who knew the prophecy surrounding the true identity of Diana. When a spy crossed a magic border of the island of Amazons, the Nazi soldiers fought and killed Antiope, which prompted Diana to go with the American spy to win Ares' war of all wars. Okay? So Diana went on to fight with men, discovering who she really is, who Ares is, and what she can do to win. Finally, Diana discovered lives of men, her true identity and her powers, and that she can be Wonder Woman. So ano yung mga important na details? So personally, when I read, I get my highlighter, and then while I'm reading, I'm highlighting the important parts. But that doesn't mean that you will highlight the entire thing, ha? I know you. Okay, so highlight, not color. Okay, so let's go to the details. So we could start with Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman is actually Diana, the princess of Themyscira. Okay, Themyscira. Okay, then daughter of Queen Hippolyta. Another detail. Let's see, we could like have our own words. Like, what did she want? Her desire. What's her desire? To be like her mother and her mother's generals. Okay. What else? Antiope, the one who trained her, and the person who knows about the true identity. Okay. And then next one, Nazi soldiers. They fought and killed Antiope. Okay. They crossed the magic border of island of Amazons. And lies of men. This is what Diana eventually discovered as she fought and found out about her true identity. Okay, so practically like that. Or you could like use this. You put here Wonder Woman, and then here is Diana. You could write Diana here, and then here is a daughter of Queen Hippolyta, trained by General Antiope, crossed the magic border and fought with men and discovered the lies of men. So there, then practically you connect them using your own words, and then you have your own summary. Okay, so how do we go about this? So summarizing techniques has various ways. You could actually have other ways to summarize. It's up to you what works. But for today, we are going to discuss what is given in the module. Okay? Summary is a direct to the point narrative or retelling. Hindi siya copy-pasting. Okay? It's retelling of a much longer material, either a story, an essay, or any body of knowledge. Here is some helpful pieces of information to help you create an effective summary. So before we get to this one, you try to recall that whenever something happens and you see it, then you try to tell it to someone else, you're actually stating the summary because you cannot reenact, right? You just tell them the important points, okay? So let's go to summary. Summarizing is stating the main idea. That's very important. You have to state the main idea. You utilized by students not just for studying, okay, but for daily lives, okay, for professional purposes. M must include only important details. M, minimizing number of words from the original material. A, arranged logically to retain the original point. R, it's not indicated here, requires revisiting of the original text to make sure that nothing has been lost or changed drastically. Y, yielding an understandable shorter piece. Okay, so for guidelines in summarizing, first you have to clarify the reason for summarizing before reading, because there are various reasons for summarizing. You could be summarizing for a friend, you could be summarizing for your brother, or you could be summarizing for your research paper. Those would require different approaches as you summarize. Okay. And then you have to read the material first while noting the important details. You cannot summarize if you don't know the material. Okay, like for now, if you're gonna ask me about Squid Game, which at the moment of speaking is quite trending, I could tell you the details because I watched it. I wasn't able to read because there's no written material, but I watched it, so I know the details. Okay? So how do you note important details? You use, I don't have my ano dito, my highlighter. You could highlight o kaya you write down as you read kasi that's more effective than telling me na, Ma'am, I could just go back later. No, sometimes you'll forget na. So while reading, make sure that you're noting details. If you don't own the book, don't write anything on the book. Okay? Then if you can write on the material, encircle the key ideas and important details. And usually you have the margins here, those serve their purpose. If they're printed, you could just write details on the sides if the book is yours. But if you cannot write on the material, note down the key ideas and important details on your notebook. You could use a bulleted format or a semantic web. Okay? Then, without consulting the original text, you try to connect what you have written down in bullets. Then you write the bullet information in your own words, then stick to the ideas that the details are presenting. So, kumbaga, you read and then you note the important details. You close the original text. You look at your details. You write them based on how you understand them, connect them to each other. Then afterwards, you could just like check, do they match? Did they change something? And if you did a great job, you're summarizing well. And then again, you write sentences in paragraph form and then compare your summary to the original text for you to be sure, like what I've mentioned. And then create citations and references. Again, depende, okay? It depends on the purpose. So idea heading format, author heading format, then date heading format. So for the ideas, summary comes before the citation, author comes first, and then the date comes first. Or you could like do the in-text citation, but again, it depends on the purpose. And then you may create your own title or copy the original one, but note that kumbaga, you write that it's a summary of this particular work. Okay? So we also have another technique here, which is someone wanted but so then technique. Okay? Someone is the main character, wanted ano yung goal niya. Okay? But what is the main problem? So how did the main character solve the problem? And then how did the story end? So let's have an example of Cinderella. Okay, someone is Cinderella. She wanted to meet her prince. Okay, Prince Charming, but the main problem is she was locked. She was treated wrongly by her stepmother. Then she was locked. Okay, so she was deprived of the chance to be at the ball. Okay, so the main character cried, and then the fairy godmother entered to help her. Then the prince fell in love with Cinderella, and there are despite the obstacles, they found each other. Then happy ever after. Okay, so we already studied about this or read about this a while back. So let's answer it together. Someone is definitely Diana, also known as Wonder Woman. She wanted what? To be like her mother and her mother's generals. But what was the problem? A spy entered the island, and the Nazi soldiers fought and killed her trainer, which is Antiope. So she went to fight with men. Okay, then she discovered her true identity, the likes of men, her powers, and the potential that she has to be. Which is she could be Wonder Woman. Okay? So that's easy, right? Ayun na, nabibigay ko na yung mga sagot. Okay. Now, connect your ideas for independent activity 1 in a short paragraph. Kumbaga, pagtatahi-tahiin mo sila. And make sure that you do not add unnecessary details. Like, she fell in love with someone, kung wala naman dito, or she had a daughter, saan banda. So you have to check, is it still part of the original text, okay? So we also have the SAAC technique, okay? For the SAAC technique, first you state the name of the article, book, or story. A is assign the name of the author. Action, what is the author doing, and a complete summary with keywords. Okay, for example, The Boy Who Cried Wolf, it was Aesop. It's part of Aesop's fables ba? I'm not sure. Basta kay Aesop yan. And then tells. So ano yung nangyari? Okay. Okay. Ay, wala. Okay, there. So outcome of repeatedly lying about seeing wolves, they ignored his cries, and then eventually he was in real danger na, and then nobody wanted to believe in him. Okay. So SAAC format. So this is a summary na from this. The Boy Who Cried Wolf by Aesop. Okay. Tells us about the outcome of repeatedly lying about seeing wolves, and they ignored his cries for help when there was real danger. So parang dikit-dikit mo lang, you just made what you have written in the SAAC graphic organizer to a paragraph. Okay. So did you get that? I'm gonna help you out. Let's read first. So yeah, let's read. So it's The Boy Who Cried Wolf is part of the Aesop's fables. When you buy a mobile phone, you have to take care of it. Okay, so we're talking about a mobile phone. So I'm gonna highlight. Okay. One way to do so is by applying a screen protector to lessen the impact of falling objects on the surface. In applying screen protector, you clean the surface of your phone or any form of dirt. Once the surface is clean, remove the paper backing on the screen protector. Then align the protector to the end of the screen. Apply the sticky side of the screen, and then there, smooth out the air bubble trapped in the protector. So how do we go about that? The author is not indicated, pero ito yung date. So you just state the name of the article, book. So this could be primarily how to put a screen protector. Okay. Then the name of the author, it's not written, so you just put anonymous, then the date. Action, what is the author doing? The author is stating how to how to apply a screen protector to your phone. Then complete the summary with keywords. Okay. Sorry. The action is the author is instructing. Okay. So this is more of chronological text. Then the thing that I've mentioned earlier, the author is telling us how to apply the screen protector to make sure that your phone is protected from any falling object. Okay. Then you just make a paragraph form. Okay. So now we also have the Cornell note-taking technique. Okay. So even though it's old, it was devised by Professor Walter of Cornell University in the 1950s. So ito yung ginagamit niya. Okay. So you write the main points. Tapos ano yung evidence and details, like chronological. Okay. So for example, ito, tiger sharks got their name due to the dark vertical stripes found mainly on young sharks called juveniles. Okay, so tiger sharks muna. Then explain why they were called tiger sharks. And then juveniles. And then what are those? Those are younger tiger sharks. Then when these sharks mature, the lines begin to fade and almost disappear. Okay, these large blunt-nosed predators have a duly earned reputation as man-eaters. Tiger sharks as man-eaters. Then you explain why. There were numerous reported attacks about these eating men, okay, etc. So that's how you do it, but it should be chronological. Okay, so for your task, this is part of your last. You indicate or select your favorite movie, and then in that movie you have to discuss the plot. Then you use any of these techniques. Okay, you have lots of techniques to use, and you come up with a good summary. And I would know if you just copied sa Wikipedia or elsewhere. Okay, so make sure that that's your original. So there, I hope you've learned something. Ayan. Let's check this one. So yeah, first 5 for me to see if you understood something, and for bonus points for those who are watching. An idea heading format starts with the summary, okay, before the citation. Let's go back. Is it correct? Okay, let's go back. That's how we do it. If you're not sure, go back. Correct, so it's true. Okay, number 1 is true. Number 2, it's summarizing rule of reason after we read original material. Okay. So do we actually